Alex Lyon, a shutout win for the Sabres over the weekend. They'll play Montreal tonight. Chance to string some wins together this year. Montreal tonight, they're 4-2-0. Then the Red Wings on Wednesday, they're atop the division. And the Leafs, back-to-back games on the weekend. Friday in Buffalo to start. So 3 more games in a row in the division, part of a division run for the Sabres. We'll get back to your phone calls on the Bills off the bye week as well. The news from Carolina is it looks like it could be Andy Dalton. And just in a quick little group chat there, you, me, and Sal, the conversation is that better or not? Because Dalton is a guy that's been around the league, and you might have flashbacks to, well, Joe Flacco and the Steelers. Flacco had seen what the Steelers would do 100 times and said, like, that's easy. He throws it to Chase and Higgins, and they put up 1,000,000 points. I don't know that Andy Dalton is going to do that. I don't know how predictable the Bills are for Dalton. His numbers against the Bills over the years, and last time he played the Bills, you have any idea when that might have been?
He played against McDermott in 2017, maybe?
Okay.
Could that be the last time, though? That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But that might be it.
Well, I'll dig into some of those numbers. We'll see what...
week three of the 2019 season, actually.
And the Panthers, Ted McMillan is a nice rookie receiver, and Jalen Coker is a guy that has returned from injury. He did not catch a ball this week. Good young receiver. They're just adding him back in. Of course, they got Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle, and, we'll see what they got to offer on Sunday from Carolina. We'll get to Paul Hamilton here. His appearance brought to you by Raylax Honda. Raylax, we got this. Paul, back-to-back wins for the Sabres. And, the first one was a bit of the goalie on the other side was really bad. And this one was much more of just a comprehensive, nice, solid win for the Sabres in a 3-0 shutout of Florida.
Well, the one thing I liked is they didn't back down at all. I mean, you know what you're getting from the Florida Panthers, whether they're injured, whether they're not. They're coming at you, and they're coming at you hard. And you better be ready, and you better be able to, try to match it at least. And I thought the Sabres more than matched it. I think at times they initiated it. That thing with Marchand that got going, that was all because Dahlin absolutely creamed him over next to the wall with a cross-check. It was a vicious cross-check. Dahlin absolutely should have been penalized for it, and Marchand lost his mind.
I didn't see if Dahlin got fined. I saw that Marchand got fined for what happened after all that.
Dahlin did not.
Okay.
Because he did not he did not pull Marchand's helmet apart.
All right,
and rip it apart in the penalty box.
Honestly, Marchand is a 37-year-old man ripping pieces off a helmet like a
little child.
Yes. Yeah. But whatever, he's fine for that. I'm kind of amazed. Like it is just an aside, Paul. It's very funny that Dahlin does not get fined for what you term as a vicious cross-check, and Marchand does for responding. But whatever, right? Like that.
I don't think he should have been fined for the cross-check, but I think he should have been penalized.
Penalized for sure. Anyway, but you feel like that moment shows a Sabres team that's not backing down to Florida, which, by the way, in the last couple of years, when they've played Florida, it has kind of looked like men versus young men. It's looked like a team that has much bigger, stronger, more grown-up pushing the Sabres around.
No question. And the Sabres weren't having it, and even after Marchand jumped Dahlin, I mean, Thompson was there immediately, as was the whole team. I mean, and it just turned into a big scrum, and, they weren't having it. And it was as simple as that. A guy who really has not been physical throughout his whole career and has taken a lot of heat for it, I thought did play the most physical game I've ever seen him play, and that's Matthias Samuelsson. I mean, he was cleaning people out shorthanded, not just like playing angles, knocking them to the ice. I thought he used the body very, very well, and was getting into the fray as far as checking people, using his size to his advantage, getting into the scrums. I thought he did a terrific job penalty killing. But from a physical standpoint, I think by far that was the most physical I've ever seen Samuelsson play.
Yeah, he dragged a guy out of the net at one point after he hit him into it. But Paul, Josh Doan becoming a story at the beginning of the season here. He gets 2 goals. He had 6 shots in this game. And I think he counts to this point, too, of men versus young men. Maybe it looked a little bit different. And Doan's a part of that, but him scoring a little bit here and putting up some offense, I think, is maybe the best part so far. Because you knew he was going to give you, the physicality and good defense. But if he can score like this, I mean, they really found something here.
Well, remember when they made the trade, I had said to you, the one thing that you're not going to have to worry about and the people are going to like is Doan's going to be in the middle of everything. I mean, he enjoys just being, as he called it the other night, chaos. And I kind of kidded with him. I go, you like chaos, don't you? He goes, I love it. He goes, I love, the chaos of being in the middle of things. And that's what we talked about, though, then was there is an upside. How much is it? What is the upside of a young player like Doan who has scored goals in the American Hockey League, and can it translate into the National Hockey League? And we still don't know. I mean, yeah, he had 3 assists one night and then scores 2 goals the next, and that's 5 points in 2 games. So that's 2 games where it's looking like there could be a very good offensive upside for Doan. But even if there's not, I still think he's a player that Sabre fans are going to love to watch play and is going to be a very effective forward for them. He does things that maybe others don't do other than Benson and a little bit of Zucker. He gives them something that they needed desperately into their lineup. And I think you're going to start seeing a lot of Doan jerseys bouncing around the arena, and I don't think he's going to have to buy too many beers as he continues his Sabre career and goes out amongst the community and stuff. I think the fans are really going to take to him.
Him and Benson, you mentioned them this year. Through all 5 games, would you say their defense has actually been living up to expectation? I mean, the first 3 games didn't go well in part because they couldn't really score, but do you feel like we are seeing a team that, for the course of the year, looks like they're going to be better at defending?
Yeah, that's why, I felt bad for the sellout crowd against the Rangers. Both teams play pretty well defensively, but that doesn't make for an exciting game for a sellout crowd. It makes for a 1-0 game. And you're kind of sitting on your hands going, great. It's a 1-0 game. Maybe they can win. Maybe they'll score a goal for us and we can cheer. But the defensive effort against the Rangers wasn't too bad. It was just the offensive effort was horrendous. There were other things of the game that just didn't click for them. So defensively, plus you're getting the goaltending, and we've talked about that all summer long. If you can get the big save at the big time and then also play better defensively, you're probably going to have a pretty good chance to get in the playoffs. You can't get in the playoffs where the Sabres were defensively last year. If you're 29th in the league or 25th in the league defensively, you're not going places. You have to be better than that. And they've been getting the big saves from Lyon, who has an excellent save percentage, and really has been doing the job for them. But part of that, too, and Lyon brought this up after the game against Florida. He goes, I don't think I saw an outnumbered all night. He goes, I saw 1 2-on-1. He goes, that's it. He goes, as a goaltender, when you don't have to face outnumbered situations and 3-on-1s, 2-on-1s, in the Sabres case, some 3-on-0s at times, in past years, when you're not looking at that as a goaltender, you can play your game better.
I also feel like for having 7 penalty kills against, he maybe didn't see as many chances as you might expect when you're killing penalties for, a third of the game?
Yeah, and in the beginning of the game, Benson takes a pretty silly tripping penalty.
Like 10 seconds
his leg
in.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he saw 4 pretty good chances and made the save on all 4 of them. So that... You always hear the cliche, your goaltender has to be your best penalty killer. Well, he was there. And, and they went from there. They're not going to get away with taking 7 penalties and giving up 7 power plays a game. That is a problem they still have. They got to stop taking the silly penalties, offensive zone penalties. You can't give the other team 7 power plays on a nightly basis, and they're not doing it on a nightly basis. But this was a little maybe crazy for doing it. But that is one thing that they really haven't corrected this year. They're taking too many penalties.
Paul Hamilton on the Western Hotline. So 4 points out of their first 10, which is a bounce back. We've talked, Paul. It's got to be 6 out of every 10 points, right? Win 3 out of every 5 games, and you're going to be in the playoff mix. And of course, you can make up your bad little 5-game stretches, but I feel like it's key here to keep them locked in to have these games be in division. These are teams you're going to see a bunch of. Like they after 3 games, we're talking about how it's only 3 games. It can't get out of control. It's not the end of the world. And this response has been nice. The problem is, it's not a problem. I can't decide what number of games they have to get to for it to have completely undone it. Like 2-4 feels tough. I know it's one more loss, but to get to 4-3, 5-3, I'm asking for a lot to get out ahead of the sticks here, to use a football metaphor. But the 0-3 start was a deep hole. Even though it's only 3 games, it's still deep when you're in a race with all these divisional teams.
Yeah, and Lindy Ruff talked about it even before it happened in training camp. He said basically the same thing you did. He goes, last year we won 1 game in our first 6. He goes, now you're chasing the whole year. He goes, you've put yourself in a spot where you have to chase the season. And I think you're right. I think they did that, losing their first 3. Now they won their next 2. So in that 5-game segment, they have to make up 2 points somewhere. Because as Lindy Ruff said, and I think you agree with, and I do also agree with, if you do pick up 6 out of 10 points in 5-game segments, you are probably going to be in the playoffs. Brian Koziel, our resident math teacher, I think said that gets you around 98 points. Now, the one year that wouldn't have gotten you in the playoffs, the Capitals were the 8th team in the East and got in with 100. But most years, that is going to get you into the playoffs. So, and Lindy Ruff also said after 3 losses, he goes, all right, we got to win the next 2 and get 4 points. He goes, and then we're 2 points down. But he goes, there will be stretches throughout the year where maybe we get 7 out of 10 points and make up the 2 points that we just lost in this 5-game segment. He goes, as long as you make it up along the way and average 6 points out of every 10, you're going to be in good shape. And he's right. I think it was just the 1 year that I can think of that 98 points wasn't going to get you into the playoffs.
Paul, do you think they're going to keep riding Lyon here until there's a back-to-back? Or do you think they'll try to get Ellis a start at some point before, when's the back-to-back with Toronto? Next week?
Yeah, for me, Ellis starts tonight, and I've been targeting that. Even though you're coming off a shutout, and I get that. But, when does fatigue set in? And that's when it's the conversation between Ruff, Mike Bales, the strength and conditioning. When does fatigue set in where we got to get him out of there? And we got to, and I think this would be a good spot for it. Because you play on Saturday, let Ellis play in Montreal. Now, the Canadiens are off to a pretty good start, but they aren't the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, give him a start there, and then you get, Lyon back in the net against Detroit, against Toronto, and then maybe I don't mind playing Ellis against Toronto if it's not his first NHL game. So maybe he gets a second game there, but I would prefer it not being his first NHL game. And I even though Montreal is like a cathedral of hockey, also. For me, I think it would be tonight. I mentioned it to Lindy Ruff, and he said we haven't gotten that far yet because I mentioned it before the Florida game. But he didn't say no. But, so I think it's going to be a discussion. So I would say, is it a possibility for today? I would say, yes, it's a possibility.
And quickly, what should we be looking for, like lineup-wise this week? Like Greenway's maybe getting closer, and Noah Ostlund is up, so lineup could be a question.
Danforth is out for over a month, so he's coming up for Danforth, which I think puts him in the lineup. There's no need for Gertzen to be in the lineup, so I don't think there's ever a need for him to be in the lineup. But I think he'll probably wind up in the lineup, whether it's Zach Jones or Metza, one of the two of them, because Bryson is in concussion protocol. So either Metza is going to get his first NHL game, or Zach Jones, who's off to a pretty good start in Rochester, 4 assists in 4 games. And they liked him, in training camp, too. He's a former New York Ranger. So one of the two of them probably is going to be into the lineup, too. I don't think Bryson's ready. We haven't had the morning skate yet, and there was no practice yesterday. But being in concussion protocol, I don't think Bryson's ready for this game.
That's the Eye on the Blue and Gold, brought to you by Great Lakes Building Systems. We keep an eye on your business, so you don't have to. Great Lakes Building Systems, our business is protecting your business. All right, Paul, thank you. We'll chat tomorrow, and hopefully it's a 3-game win streak, and the Sabres are, back at even.
Okay, sounds good.
Paul Hamilton on the Western Hotline, 803-0550. Sabres and Canadiens tonight.
Yeah, Paul just mentioned Gertzen. Like, he played 2 minutes against Florida.